The fourth line from the top on page Chof Aleph. Thank you. We're in the middle of discussing Kalim in a very subtle manner. He's saying that Kalim are rooted in the reshimu. The chayus of the Kalim themselves, the Kalim have unique chayus that is uniquely suited for Kalim. Not the oil and the chayus that's mislabish in the Kalim, but the chayus of the Kalim itself. In other words, the fact that there is such a thing as a Kalim, that is a separate creation. There is the oil that the Keli disseminates, and there is the oil that represents the creation of the Keli itself. That also is a chayus, and this chayus is rooted in the reshimu. However, this chayus comes in what's called a helem manner. In other words, there is not, as he said, the Indian from Gili Oyer. The reason for that is chayus does not represent a connection to the moket, to the source. It is not a chayus that comes with b'chinas kiruv, in a manner that the source comes close and wants to be niskarev to it. Rather, it's b'chinas richuk. He explained at length this morning the significance of this. B'chinas kiruv and b'chinas richuk. And our emotional for that was the many Mishorim. But one of them that brings us out clearly, we said that it's an interesting thing that there is a very significant difference that we all recognize, whether you serve at a wedding in buffet style or individual portions. Buffet style is you're serving the same food, but you're only serving food, you're not serving your interest, your relationship. When you serve individual portions, that is that there is the spirit of the host with it. That's the Gili Yoyer, and this is the pshat of B'chinas Kiruv. The reshimu comes in B'chinas Richuk. Thank you very much. Now we're starting 4 lines from the top on page Chafal. Dereshimu hi b'chinas koyach ne'elam.
So I'm sorry, before you go on. So in the wedding, where's the reshimu?
If one serves in a very general, impersonal manner, this is like something coming from the reshimu. The reshimu hi b'chinas koyach ne'elam. This is the aspect of a koyach ne'elam, a concealed, a hiding koyach, a koyach that does not declare itself. Here I'm giving you, I'm showing you. As we discussed the whole Indian, to some extent, the Indian from the reshimu that it's a leftover after there is a complete tzimtzum. But it doesn't, that part of it, that leftover element does not get erased by the tzimtzum, because this is something which the tzimtzum cannot touch, because it's not oil, it's just the essential inyan. V'hamshocha mishom, and thus the hamshocha, that which is drawn from the reshimu, from the reshimu, hu b'chinas gilui. Hu b'chinas helam, is b'chinas helam in a helam manner. Again, we discussed this the last couple of days. To reiterate some of the things we said, particularly this morning. Oir, light, the phenomenon of light is, among other things, light does not only illuminate the object, the subject of the subject, in other words, what you are trying to show, but it shows the entire environment. It shows its context. It shows its reality. What is it, and why is it there? And why is it there? What is its meaning? Do we understand this concept? I said it about this morning.
I didn't hear this point. What was that? What shows its meaning? I just didn't hear what was said there. With the phone, I was distracted.
I got a second.
Yeah.
Well, he says that the reshimu is a koyach nelam, which means a subtle koyach. The koyach that comes in a restrained and a hidden manner. And thus it does not have what's called oil v'gil, revelation and light. What is revelation and light? And he says that this is due to the fact that it does not represent the aspect of kiru, of closeness from the source. So we explained how are all these things correlated. It's closer to the source, and therefore it has oir. I explained what is the significance of being close to the source. What is the source? What is so significant about the source? This is being discussed like the marshal of the host and the guest and the meal. The meal is identical, whether the host is present or not present. As I said, the meal is identical if he serves it individual portion or he puts it out on a buffet style. And you take whatever you want to take. What's missing? Everybody understands that if you make a wedding, you're not going to make a buffet type of service. You're going to have individual portions. What's the difference? Do we understand the question? When you think about it, you see right away, it does not make sense to make it buffet type, because buffet is so impersonal. Buffet you give because you give food because you have food. It's not a personal relationship. At a wedding, that's a very personal type of gathering, a simcha. There's nothing more personal than a wedding. In everything that's being done, is expressed not what is being done, but the relationship to the source of the host. This is called oil regil. Why is this oil regil? Wait a second. I'm asking the question because I'm going to go ahead and next. Do we understand so far? Hello? Yeah. Why is this called oil regil?
Why is the presence of the host?
What is the presence of the host called oil regil? And I said that the presence of the host represents not only the presence of, what does the presence carry with it? That he's giving him not just the meal, but he has an initiation, he has a reason for giving it to him, has a personal reason for giving it to him. That's the host. The big thing of a host is that he can initiate a whole phenomenon. How do people come to a wedding? They're invited personally. Who initiates that? The one who makes the wedding. There's no.
Isn't he also initiating the smorgasbord, the buffet?
The smorgasbord is a carryover. That people should not be hungry until the real thing comes. Smorgasbord is not. It's not the welcoming moment. Sorry, we have a little bit of a interference here. We'll get back in a moment. See, we need your chutzpah. Can you help out over there? Yeah. I don't know what he's got there. Was it right? This is called oil regil. And when it connects to the source, there is oil regil, there is real expression. We can understand from all the Masholim the significance of this phenomenon, and even the specific words of oil regil. Oil regil means there's a positive expression, not just an inadvertent presence.
And part of that point was that the host initiates. That was just a detail of this presence.
Initiates is proof that there is Oyer Gilui. There's nothing present, and he creates it from present. That means that there is something that creates it.
It's Oyer Gilui of the source. That's the point.
The Oyer Gilui that comes with that which is being given. The kelim. There is Oyer Gilui into the kelim. And you want to have a technical thing. It's not a technical thing. I explained, as I'll explain, what is Oyer? What is the difference? We spoke about it many times, whether you see something, you're aware of something in light or in the dark. If you walk around this room and you feel your way around, and you feel the chairs and the tables and the people, everything, you're identifying everything by touch. So you know you have a complete picture of what is in the room. When you see it all, it's a completely different reality. And what is the difference? What is the difference?
That you see how it's real.
You see it in context.
Right.
Why it is there, not what is there, but why it is there.
Right.
You with me? I've explained many times. If you are in a house and there's a dining room, and the dining room is empty, there are no tables, nothing there. It's not unknown, but you know this is the dining room, and you immediately project. In this room, there's going to be tables and chairs, but there are no tables and chairs. Why are you projecting tables and chairs? Is that an imaginary thing, or is some reality to it? It's a reality that is drawn from a broader source, broader truth, or context. The tables and chairs come in the room as a result of this perception. The tables don't create the perception creates the tables and chairs. Clearly, so this is Oyer. You know what it shows in the entire reality. When you don't have this Oyer, then you have tables and chairs, but they're out of context. They don't have the imperative, so to speak, the imperative element. This must be here. It happens to be here. That's a completely different story. Hello?
Yeah.
Who? When you get a spark of Oyer Gilui, it should be Oyer Gilui. Come on.
Okay, so let's see if we got this. So
Okay, let's see.
The room itself calls for the table and chairs, and that's indicative of the spirit of the room, the aura, rather than just feeling yourself around and like, oh, an extra chair could be useful. It's a different chap.
That's right. And that comes as a result of the presence of the host, or the presence of the source.
So Kalim just happened to be there?
Or once,
Kelim come from the reshimu. Right? Kelim do not have that in and of themselves.
that last comment that comes from the presence of the host. That's showing on the whole world itself has purpose because of the one who makes it and sustains
That's right.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And so too by the home, that it has any setting, etc.
That's right. I want to ask you a question. Baruch, you're also
Yes,
invited to the question.
Okay, did you hear my question?
Go ahead. I thought I answered it.
I must have missed the answer.
Okay, what's your question?
Kalim are there by happenstance, in effect? The
In a
tables and
sense,
chairs
yes.
without the context.
That's right. Kelim are there by happenstance, except there is a source for this. This is the reshimu that creates the kelim by happenstance.
You can tell that they're there for a reason, but you have no idea what the reason is.
No, you can tell the reason, but the reason is a limited reason for this particular kelim. It's not an overall message. Like let me go back to the principle of oil. When you have light, you said this morning, please listen to this. When you light a candle, you cannot light a limited area. You light a candle, the entire room is lit up. That's what light is. Because light relates to the environmental reality, to the context, and therefore it illumines the whole thing.
But as opposed to the keli, the vessel just stays very local. It doesn't.
Vessel says a very limited function. It's a table, it's a chair, finished.
Right. Okay. But it is there because of a higher purpose. I mean.
That, yes, but that's what's called the remnant of the higher purpose. That's what reshimu means. The remnant of the higher purpose. It doesn't have the spirit of it.
No.
No.
I thought we have the cup. We've had the plate with the food on it, and the cup is almost vital to its purpose when it's being held.
That is when it's being used. That's not the cup. The cup, the real cup, is the one that's standing in the closet.
Right, but over there it's on standby. Does it not retain its purpose even there?
It retains its terms, but in a very hidden manner,
Okay.
in inadvertent manner. He said that when you hold the cup and you're actually using it, it's not called a cup, a keli.
Yeah.
It's oil.
It's what?
Oil.
So what was your question going to be?
Oh, my question is this. Which state is more compelling? The projection of the furniture in a room when the room is empty? The emptiness, the empty room, or the furnished room?
Which is more what?
More compelling.
What's that?
Which is, I didn't hear.
Huh?
The empty room,
I didn't hear the question.
Which is more compelling?
You have to define compelling. It's a word that you use often, which is not always completely understood.
It's not compelling.
Not compelling, right?
Which is more compelling in terms of a message? In terms of reality?
Okay, the furnished room.
Huh?
Furnished room.
Which is more compelling, the furnished room or the empty room?
This is a trick question.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
The Gemara says that you are allowed to ask trick questions.
In terms of the reality of it?
That all depends.
Huh?
That depends.
Depends. If it's a trick question, the answer has to be the empty room.
That's a political answer. Okay. I want to ask you, when is your intelligence more acutely recognizable?
Oh, okay.
When you see it through the empty room or through the furnished room?
Through empty room.
Through the empty room. This is the reality. This touches you a much deeper level.
You think the empty room
Yeah.
touches you on a deeper.
Yeah.
So when you can recognize that this is a dining room.
You
which is-
really need to be an intelligent person to recognize the empty room. A furnished room.
Saying because it's less obvious.
What? No, because then you're relating to what this is all about. A furnished room, you're tired, you have a chair. Said many times, a chair and a table is not just a practical element. It's a human reality. To the extent that the Gemara says, "Ha'echel b'shuk doima lekelev."
I'm sorry, what is it? I missed that. What does the Gemara say?
Eichel b'shuk doima lekelev.
Oh, okay.
If one eats walking around, holding his plate, I'm sorry, if anybody is, will be touched, the smorgasbord type of eating, walking around, is just not respectable to the human being.
You know, Rabbi Paltiel, these things that you tell us, it's dangerous. I walked past a guy walking down the street eating a shawarma today, and I almost stopped him and tell him the same thing.
Okay, I'm taking a chance.
Pick your battles.
A shawarma, what was a shawarma?
It was a sandwich or a shawarma, I don't know, one or the other, but he was definitely eating it in the street while he walked.
Real food.
Real food, yeah.
So why not count because it's Machal Bahama?
So you did not tell him that you know that you're like a caliph.
I restrained myself.
You were saying, congratulations. Okay. That's why I'm telling it to you. I trust you. We have to understand. Okay, please listen carefully. How's a human being come to this world? Did he develop himself from a monkey, or was he created as a human being straight out by godly design? Hello?
Yeah, by godly design.
Professor?
That's an easy one.
Is that an easy one because you know what the answer should be, or do you know the answer?
Both.
Okay, good. Do you understand the significance of this? This is not a historical question. This is a reality question. How do you perceive a human being? Why do you respect a human being? Because of his sensitivities, or because God made him into a human being? See, this is where we have lost many times.
So for us, a human being has become like a keli.
This is why, in the general world today, they tend to lose distinction between a human being and a dog. The dog also gets insulted. What are you saying? My dog got insulted. You looked at him the wrong way.
Goes what?
Huh?
I am
I
talking
mean,
about dogs.
they're harvesting the organs from babies for money, for selling them.
Okay. Don't make it gory. Do you understand? Our respect for a human being is not because of his reaction, not because of his sensitivities. But by cause of what was created, who created him, by design. As the Pasuk says, listen to this. Hashem created Adam, and then it says, Vayikro es shmom Adam b'imi borim. He gave him a name. He named this creature. All other creatures, let Adam name. Adam, Hashem himself gave him a name. I don't mean a proper name. I mean a species name. This is an additional emphasis. You should understand. This human being has God's stamp on it. And if you're not respecting, you're not respecting his creator. That's what it's about.
I can have it now.
So we got off a little bit on the tangent. This is the significance of there being a korev to the source. And the union of oir v'gilui. Oir, and we said many times, oir is the easiest thing to ignore. It's totally intangible. As a matter of fact, this is one of the qualities, aspect, that affects a human being that the Rebbe created to begin with, the ability to be able to ignore it. You can't ignore a tail. If it hits you, it hits you. If you touch a table, there's no way that you're not going to feel it. You can have light hit you, but you close your eyes. And the Rebbe made light healing, you should be able to close your eyes. There's much to discuss on that score. But the point is that oir is omnipresent. You know what omnipresent means? Everywhere. Everywhere. What is present everywhere? The source, the initial reality. Something that is there inadvertently, not present everywhere. It's present when it is present. Yeah, there's much to speak of. I think it's sufficient to get the idea of what we're learning here. Reshimu is only a trace of the real thing. And that's why reshimu does not provide this connection, this reality. Reshimu in our mashalim is like a chair because you're tired. You know, some remnant of the reality. Not that which initiates it. Okay? Claude?
So when we say it's what's the expression behelim? That means that the initiating force is behelim.
That's right. That's exactly what it says here. Not these words, but hence what's missing is bechinas kiruv. And it's amshocha bechinas helam. And then it says it's not bechinas dveikus bim koirom. It's exactly what it says. There's no mocker. So how much force can there be? Like,
I don't know if this is an improper question. If it is, you'll rule it out of order. But in in the last Hemshech that we learned, there was a long discussion of how ultimately there is always, the air is never completely, the devatus is never interrupted, even to the lowest level.
Right. That's in oir. We are now talking about the reshimu, we're talking about kelim.
Uh-huh. But in our world, everything is coming only from reshimu.
In our world, the oil is behelim, exactly right. To the extent that if we are smart enough, we say that the human being resembles a monkey.
Monkey.
Isn't that a piece of wisdom?
And it's the reshimu that makes that wisdom possible.
The helim.
The helim.
Okay?
But that's what we have. Isn't it?
What?
I said that's all we have. All we have is the helim.
All the cat has. The human being, in addition to what he physically sees, he is also given intelligence. And he brings the oil into the kelim. I said this afternoon, when I was discussing this Inyan. A car is a very complicated entity, and it has a lot of skill to build it, a lot of smarts. The engineering element is really something phenomenal. Will anyone say that the car came as a result of an engineer desiring to develop a spinning wheel? That's all he built, a spinning wheel. What was conceived in building the car? The spinning wheel or the transportation, the human usage of it? Anybody have any doubt about it?
Getting somewhere.
Yeah, serving the human being. The human desire for transportation. And we said the other day, because a human being is all over. He can be limited to where he is. He wants to go, So we develop all kinds of things. We developed airplanes, we developed a rocket power to fly to Pluto.
You'll be pleased to know that Shlomo Yenison is projecting a very beautiful car on the video right now.
Is always on top of it. It's phenomenal. Phenomenal. I know what happened to that table. I asked him to create some kind of a fancier table. He doesn't.
But we have the outline. We have a new car.
But we understand these are all things that when we experience this in our world, we begin to understand the real message, the phenomenal beauty and depth and purity of what we're learning. This is oil. How much does the beauty of a car weigh? How much the design of the car weigh? Yitzchak.
How much does the design of the weight of a piece of paper?
If that much.
What was that? How much is the design of what?
Of the car weigh?
Oh, but what did Yitzchak say in response?
A piece of paper.
Piece of paper. Oh.
But when you sell the car, you don't sell the paper. So you sell the car without the paper. How much does it weigh in the car that's being produced, that's being sold? But you're charging me. You're charging me for a weightless, for a non-existent entity, and that's what you're charging me for, right? Bloody murder. This is a highway robbery. You sell me spinning wheels. I understand. That weighs 3,000 pounds. I can understand that. But the design and the engineering feat, what are you charging me for? So this oil, this is the real thing. And the reshimu is lacking this oil. Because the reshimu does not connect to the source. The Dveikus B'Mkoira. It lacks the Dveikus B'Mkoira. It's as if I produce a spinning wheel instead of a car. The spinning wheel, the car, and the physical car as we have it, this is the reshimu, this is the reshimu of the initial human perception. So it still has some oil, but it's an oil helam b'helam. Vela. Okay?
What you're saying, it's an oil nelam?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it could be misused? That's why you say that?
Why are we saying that the reshimu is not governed with the mocker?
That's right. That's what we're saying right now. It's not over the market. In other words, when you buy a car, and then the salesman is selling a car, you know that this car was conceived by the designer, by the president, by the chairman of the board, with such insight. He really wants people to enjoy this car. Nobody sells a car on that basis. Right? You sell the car on the basis of how much it weighs and how well the wheels spin. Okay.
And if it has Wi-Fi.
Tell me?
And if it has Wi-Fi.
If it has Wi-Fi. Okay. This is the significance. All I wanted that we should understand the meaning of these words. The Dveikus B'Mkoira and the uniform Gilu Yair. How these two are correlated. Do we understand? Can I have at least one answer? Yes or no?
Yes, these words are understood.
Huh?
These words are understood.
And the concept behind them?
Now you're pushing it.
We have to push ourselves to understand these concepts. And that's what it's all about. Kiruv B'Mkoiroi. What does it mean?
What are the
What does it
previous
mean?
words in that sentence?
What does
What
it
are the
mean?
Hamshachas Elu
Okay,
that are
Baruch,
coming?
Baruch, 1 second. What does it mean? Bereshis bara lekim zeh shamayim v'haaretz. God created with heaven and earth. What's the difference who created the Shemayim V'Aretz?
It makes all difference.
Do you walk more securely on the earth? Does the Shemayim look bigger because it was created by God? What's the pshat? The Shemayim V'Aretz. You know what the pshat of this is? What's the difference? What is the significance of the word Bereshis bara Elokim et hashamayim v'haaretz? In our overly sophisticated world, we have come to recognize, after many years of deep in consideration, that the heavens and the sky that we see is inadvertent presence. We're seeing emptiness, and it looks to us like a sky. Bereshis bara Elokim et hashamayim v'haaretz has a statement that says, I don't want you to look at emptiness. This is a godly creation. And if you're looking at emptiness, you're denying the whole godly reality. I don't want you to do that. After you make a statement like this, you have to give him a moment to absorb quietly. Bereshis bara Elokim et hashamayim v'haaretz has a profound effect on the human experience in living in the world. And I mentioned many times, if I may go there, I mean, we spent the whole evening on this, I might as well. The reason we are able to stand up on 2 feet and not hold on is because we are holding on to the Shemayim. That's what's holding us up. We're not in emptiness. If we were in emptiness, we couldn't stand. That's ridiculous. A person cannot step into emptiness, into nothingness.
Pour yourself out.
What?
I'm sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay. I don't know if you fully understand this, but these are all important principles. Eventually, these are the principles. Whether we understand them or not, this is what bears down on us. This is what affects our lives. This is how we can feel comfortable in as an intelligent creature in this world.
I'm missing this. What is making us comfortable?
The Shemayim. The fact that Shemayim v'Haaretz are godly creations. The earth is not a planet. The earth is a place that created for human beings to tread on. The sun is not a ball of fire. The sun is created to give light.
see with our intelligence. Aval, if it was only from the reshimu, you wouldn't see any of this.
Right. All right. So let's call it an evening. I hope something remains. Some reshimu, something remains from that reshimu. Okay.